UNP Southern Provincial Councillor Maitri Gunaratna, speaking at a media briefing convened in Galle today, expressed these views regarding the decisions taken by the UNP Working Committee at yesterday's meeting.
ආණ්ඩුවට දෝෂාභියෝගයේ සහයෝගය විපක්ෂ සහයෝගය සම්පූර්ණයෙන් ලබා දෙනවා කියපු එක ලබා දීලා.
He said that the support of the opposition will be given for the government in the impeachment motion and thereby obtain the government's support to extend his term to 6 years. Ranil Wickramasinghe's second contract is to turn Sajith Premadasa into a political orphan. He and the working committee carried this out successfully yesterday. This is because Sajith Premadasa is the only leader who can bring victory to the UNP in the future. If he is removed as well, then Ranil Wickramasinghe would have laid the foundation for this government to remain in power forever.
ආණ්ඩුව දිගටම බලය පවත්වන්න වැඩපිළිවෙල රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයා හදලා දීලා හමාරයි.
The United States Embassy in Sri Lanka says that it is disturbed by the series of threats and attacks against legal defenders, civil society organizations and activists who have spoken out on recent events that have taken place in the island. Issuing a release, it reiterates that the right to express opinions freely is universal and one that is protected under Sri Lankan law. The US Embassy urges the government of Sri Lanka to protect this fundamental right and ensure that all citizens are able to express their opinions without fear of retribution. It is hard to imagine that the tiny ant can pose any serious threat to our day-to-day lives.
However, we received a report from the Batuwatha and Veragod areas of Galigamua, where a certain ant species is wreaking havoc in the day-to-day lives of the people.
From a distance, this may resemble a beehive, but it is actually an army of ants belonging to the genus Crematogasta, colloquially known as Codain. These ants have invaded every nook and cranny of the villages of Batuwatha and Veragoda and have moved from the trees to villagers' homes as well.
දැන් අපිට දැන් ගෙදරවත් ඉන්න බෑ නැකව නිදා ගන්නත් නෑ ළමයෙකුට නිදි කරවන්නත් බෑ
පොඩි ළමයෙකුට net එකක් දාලා නිදි කරන්නත් බැරි වෙලාවල් තියෙනවා ඒ වගේ දිග කොඩයි ඇවිල්ලා එයාලට කනවා
අපි වෙලාවකට තෙල් ගහනවා ක්‍රිමිනාශක ගහනවා මේ මං බැරුවම මේ පවුඩරුත් දානවා පවුඩර් දානවා ලාම්පු තෙල් දානවායි මොනවා කරත් ඒවා తాවකාලික විසඳුම් විතරයි.
A case of ant invasion was reported from the same area 5 years ago. This time around, though, the ants are seriously threatening long-term crops in the area. However, certain villagers believe that the ants have stopped harm being caused to coconut cultivations by monkeys. Nevertheless, area residents say that since the ant infestation is on the whole negative, a permanent solution must be provided.
ගහක පොල් ගෙඩියක් කඩා ගන්න බෑ ගස් වලට මේ පැත්තේ ගස් වලට කවුරුවත් පොල් කඩන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. සමහරකට එවිලගෙන අප්පච්චි මේ හරියනම් ඉඩම් නිකන් දුන්නත් එපා කියනවා මේ කොඩයි හින්දා.
We have informed the local agrarian officer. I went with her to conduct inspections. I presented this problem to the local agricultural committee. I cannot go beyond that. I have informed everyone from this level. Regardless of who has been informed, all that the villagers want is an environment free of this army of six-legged pests, so they can return to their day-to-day lives.
A senior state counsel noted in court today that Liyanage Samanshanta, a witness in the case pertaining to the killing of Bharata Lakshman Premachandra, had provided a sworn affidavit to court which was contrary to the original statement he had given to the Criminal Investigations Department. Responding to a question posed by the Colombo Additional Magistrate, the senior state counsel said that the Criminal Investigations Department had already commenced investigations into the matter. He also informed court today that charges will be filed against the suspects currently in custody for the killing of 4 people, including Bharata Lakshman Premachandra, before the next hearing. 18 suspects in connection with the incident were produced before the Colombo Additional Magistrate Prasanna Alvis today.
Representing the Attorney General in court today, Senior State Counsel Madhava Tennakon said the department had received all reports in connection with the incident except the DNA reports. He added that he had also received revelations made by both the plaintiff and the defendant to the Attorney General. Meanwhile, representing MP Duminda Silva in court today, President's Counsel Hemantha Warnakula Surya said his client, who is a victim in this case, has been turned into a suspect based on political reasons. Responding to this statement, Attorney at Law Upul Kumara Peruma, representing the aggrieved party, said influence had not been exerted from any faction to name Duminda Silva as a suspect. Hearings were postponed to the 5th of February.
UNP parliamentarian Buddhika Pathirana raised a question in Parliament today on the decision to halt the telegram service.
ඊයේ මධ්‍යම රාත්‍රියේ ඉඳලා ලංකාවේම ටෙලිග්‍රෑම් නවත්තලා කියලා. දැන් තාමත් රාජ්‍ය සේවය.
It was reported that the telegram service was stopped from midnight yesterday. When in the public service, one cannot apply for leave via a text message or a fax. In the event of a funeral, we use telegrams to convey messages of condolence. The telegram service has been halted without the introduction of an alternative. There is no proper system throughout the country to even send an email. A text message is not legally accepted. Applying for leave via fax is not acceptable. So on what basis was the decision made to stop using the telegram service, which dates back to the colonial era?
මේ තැපැල් පණිවිඩ සේවය නතර කරන්න තීරණයක් ගත්තේ මොන පදනමෙන්ද?
එතුමා ප්‍රශ්නයන්නේ අධිරාජවාදීන් කරපු වැඩ ගැන.
His question is about work done during the colonial era. It's a fair question.
එතුමාගේ අවධානයට
Also speaking at the debate on the Code of Criminal Procedure's Special Provisions Bill, UNP MP D.A. Swaminathan and Minister of Justice Rauf Hakim expressed these views.
The Prevention of Terrorism Act can take anyone into custody. Within a period of 72 hours, they can be kept into custody, and subsequently, until the police officer, if the police officer reports back to the magistrate and says that this person is found guilty under Terrorism Act or is a terrorist, he can be kept in custody until the entire trial is over. Now just look at this provision that are existing today. Do we need all this? Now today we say there is no terrorists in this country. Terrorists have all been solved, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the terrorist movement is or whether they are terrorists in this country, why don't you finish this whole transaction and delete these clauses?
As a follow-up to the LLRC recommendations, the committee appointed under the chairmanship of Lalit Veeratunga, the Secretary to the President, has been having frequent discussions, and the Secretary to my ministry is a part of that task force. Honorable Mahinda Samarasinghe has his Human Rights Action Plan, which incorporates some of these issues, and we have the LLRC task force which has been appointed, which is looking into most of these matters, and some action has been taken, and some, of course, there are certain delays.
And it's time now for the newspaper cartoon of the day.
Two agreements on combating international terrorism and drug trafficking and double taxation avoidance were signed today by the External Affairs Ministers of India and Sri Lanka at the 8th meeting of the India-Sri Lanka Joint Commission.
Issuing a joint statement, the Indian High Commission in Colombo says both sides decided to take several steps to further deepen trade, tourism and investment relations. The statement reads that it was decided at this meeting to encourage closer economic and trade linkages between all stakeholders with a view to double bilateral trade to $10 billion in the next 3 years. The statement also says that both sides welcome the successful completion of the pilot project to build homes for IDPs in the northern province and the launch of the next phase to construct or repair the remaining 49,000 houses. Both sides had also expressed satisfaction over progress in several other projects in conflict-hit areas. It was also decided at this meeting that both sides would meet again at the earliest to explore the possibility of a revised air services agreement and the resumption of the Thalemana-Rameswaram ferry service. Both sides directed the officials concerned to work towards the implementation of the Sampur power project to ensure it goes on stream by 2016 and agreed to enhance cooperation in the energy sector. The statement notes that both sides also agreed to jointly celebrate the 150th birth anniversaries of Swami Vivekananda and of Anagarika Dharmapala.
Senior lecturer at the University of Colombo, Dr. Lalita Siri Gunaruwan, emphasized that expanding the state sector without gaining any productivity will burden the economy. He pointed out that although the number of employees at several state institutions have increased, the state institutions have handed over its work to private contractors.
රාජ්‍යාංශය පුළුල් කිරීම කියන එකට යනකොට කාර්යක්ෂම රාජ්‍යාංශයක් ඕන පුළුල් වෙන්න.
It is obvious that an efficient state sector is necessary when speaking of expanding the state sector. Increasing the number of people in the state sector who earn a salary through tax money of the general public should not happen. We need to question whether it is productive. Is it necessary for the country? What is the service rendered by the state sector to steer the economy of the country? There was a time when the irrigation department constructed tanks, the Department of Highways constructed roads, and the Department of Railways controlled the railway service. The construction of tanks and roads is handed on contract basis to the private sector while recruiting employees to expand the state sector. It is a crime to hand over work that should be done by the state sector to the private sector.
ඉරිගේෂන් වලට තියෙන රාජ්‍ය ව්‍යුහය පළල් කරමින් දුම්රිය ක්ෂේත්‍රයට තියෙන රාජ්‍ය ව්‍යුහයට මිනිස්සු බඳවා ගමින් ඒ කරන්න ඕන කාර්යය පුද්ගලිකාංශය ලව්වා කරගන්නකොට මෙතන.
Now, several houses in Oluwil located in Ampara have been damaged due to coastal erosion, and residents say that building rock revetments to minimize erosion has proved futile.
This is the coastal area near the Oluwil port in the Ampara district. This area is prone to coastal erosion, a problem News First has constantly highlighted. Many houses and public places have been harmed by sea erosion, with 100 meters of land in the area also affected. The authorities took measures to build rock revetments to protect the shoreline and minimize coastal erosion. However, this measure was unsuccessful. They laid rocks here because there was coastal erosion, but the issue has aggravated. The tar roads have also washed away. If this is not stopped, the entire village will disappear. Fishermen point out that this has become a serious issue for them to carry out their day-to-day activities. We cannot anchor a boat. Sandbags were laid here, but even that didn't work. Area residents are of the view that authorities should take immediate measures to solve the issue.